The gavel cracked like thunder in that stuffy Ohio courtroom, and before I could even catch my breath, the words tumbled out of me. I'm gay, hanging in the air like a confession I'd buried for years. The judge's eyes locked onto mine, not with shock or pity, but something fiercer, like he'd been waiting for the spark to ignite the whole damn room. In that split second, as the whispers from the back row of students turned to gasps, I knew my life in Elmwood High was about to shatter, but hell if it didn't feel like the first real breath I'd taken in forever. It started 6 months earlier, on a crisp September morning when the leaves in our sleepy Midwest town were just starting to blush red. Elmwood, Ohio, population 5,200, where everyone knew your business before you did, and the biggest scandal was old Mrs. Hargrove's cat knocking over the mayor's prized tomato plants. I was Alex Harper, 17, junior at Elmwood High, the kid who blended into the lockers like wallpaper. Straight A student, quarterback on the JV team, not starter, mind you, but good enough to get invited to the keggers. The kind of guy who laughed at the right jokes, nodded along to the locker room trash talk about girls, and went home to a 2-bedroom rancher where mom worked double shifts at the diner and dad. Well, dad was a ghost, shipping out with the guard before I could remember his face. That morning, I was late for homeroom, backpack slung over one shoulder, dodging the usual gauntlet of high fives in the hall. That's when I first really saw him, Jordan Reyes. He was new, transferred in from Chicago after his folks split, or so the rumors went. Tall, with that effortless slouch like he owned the chaos around him. Dark hair falling into eyes the color of storm clouds. He was leaning against the water fountain, sketching in a battered notebook, oblivious to the cluster of jocks circling like sharks. Tommy Baxter, our self-appointed king of the hallways, was already mid-taunt. What's that, Picasso? Drawing your boyfriend. I should have kept walking. God, I should have. But something in Jordan's jaw tightened. The way his pencil froze midline, and before I knew it, I was stepping in.
Lie off, Tommy.
Art class is that way. Remember? Came out sharper than I meant, laced with that fake bravado I'd perfected. Tommy blinked, sizing me up, me the invisible guy, and snorted. Harper's got jokes now? Save it for the bench, loser. He shoved past, his crew trailing like hyenas, but Jordan shot me this look. Not grateful exactly, curious, like he'd just spotted a crack in the facade of this podunk town. By lunch, the table I'd claimed in the corner of the cafeteria felt smaller. I poked at my mystery meatloaf, replaying that moment, the heat crawling up my neck. Why'd I do it? Because Tommy was a dick? Or because Jordan's sketch? I'd glimpsed it, a fierce cityscape of skyscrapers bleeding into stars. Made my chest ache with something I couldn't name? I'd known I was different since middle school. That fumbling sleepover where I stared too long at Benji's freckled shoulders instead of the PlayStation screen. But admitting it, in Elmwood, that was a one-way ticket to whispers, slammed lockers, maybe worse. So I buried it deep as the coal mines Dad used to talk about. The bell rang, and there he was again, Jordan, sliding into the seat across from me like we'd planned it. Thanks for the backup, he said, voice low and edged with that Chicago drawl. All vowels stretched like taffy. Up close, he smelled like fresh ink and rain-damp concrete. Didn't need it, but appreciated. I shrugged, heart hammering. Tommy's all bark. Mostly. Tommy had teeth. I'd seen him corner kids in the parking lot, words turning to shoves. But Jordan just smirked, flipping open his notebook. Want to see what the fuss was about? He pushed it toward me. A drawing of the school, but twisted towers of brick morphing into prison bars, faces in the windows twisted in silent screams. Welcome to paradise, right? I laughed, too loud, and for the first time in years it felt real. We talked about Chicago's endless lights versus Elmwood's one stoplight, about how he hated football but loved the strategy of chess, about the mixtape in his Walkman blasting the Smiths. How soon is now? He said, tapping the cassette. Fits, doesn't it? By the end of lunch, we'd swap numbers, landlines, because who had cells back then? And I walked to calc class floating like I dodged a rainstorm and come out dry. That night, staring at the phone on the kitchen wall, I replayed it all. Mom was wiping down counters, humming Dolly Parton, her uniform still smelling of grease. New friend? She asked, catching my grin. Yeah, Jordan. From art. She nodded, eyes tired but kind. Good. You need more of those. If only she knew. The call came at 8:17. His voice crackling through the line, asking if I wanted to grab shakes at Dairy Dream after school tomorrow. I said yes before my brain caught up and hung up sweating like I'd run suicides on the field. The next day dragged, every class a countdown. When the final bell rang, I bolted to the parking lot, where Jordan waited by his beat-up Schwinn, helmet dangling from the bars. We biked the 3 miles to the edge of town, wind whipping our faces, the cornfields whispering secrets. Dairy Dream was a relic, pink booths, jukebox crooning Patsy Cline, neon sign flickering like a heartbeat. We claimed the corner table, chocolate malts sweating condensation, and talked until the owner flipped the closed sign. You're not like the others here, Jordan said, straw between his teeth, eyes tracing the cracks in the formica. They look at me like I'm carrying the plague. You're not wrong. I hesitated, then plunged. This place, it chews up anything different. But you're holding your own. He leaned in, close enough I could count the lashes framing those gray eyes. What about you, Alex? What's your secret scar? The question hung heavy as the humid air. I wanted to tell him. About the nights I'd lie awake, imagining hands that weren't my own, faces that looked back with the same hunger. But fear clamped my throat. Nothing worth scars, I muttered, just trying not to fade away. He didn't push, just nodded like he saw right through. As we biked back, the sun dipping low, painting the sky in fire, his hand brushed mine on the handlebars. Accidental, maybe. But the spark? That was no accident. It lingered warm and terrifying, all the way home. Weeks blurred into a rhythm. Lunches in the courtyard, stolen notes passed in the halls. Doodles of us as superheroes, capes billowing over Elmwood's flat horizon. Jordan pulled me into his world, lending me books by Kerouac, mixtapes with Morrissey's Aching Croon, showing me how to sketch the curve of a jawline without it looking like a mugshot. And I showed him the town's hidden veins, the creek where fireflies danced like fallen stars, the abandoned mill where echoes turned shouts to songs. But Elmwood wasn't blind. Whispers started, Harper's glued to the new freak, and Tommy's glares sharpened to knives. One Friday after practice, as I unlaced my cleats in the locker room, he cornered me. What's your deal, man? Turning fruity on us. His buddies snickered, towels snapping like whips. I froze, pulse roaring, but forced a laugh. Jealous I'm faster on the field? It bought me an out, but the seed was planted. Doubt, fear, the kind that gnaws at night. Jordan sensed it, that Friday night when we snuck out to the old drive-in. Screens dark but stars blazing. We sprawled on a plaid blanket, passing a thermos of contraband root beer, talking dreams. Chicago was loud, he said, but honest. Here, it's all smiles hiding teeth. His hand found mine in the dark, not brushing, claiming. My breath hitched, world narrowing to that point of contact, skin electric. Alex, he whispered, turning to face me, moonlight carving shadows on his cheekbones. I think I'm falling for you. The words cracked me open. I pulled him close, our lips meeting tentative, then fierce, like we'd both been starving. It wasn't fireworks. It was a quiet unraveling, breaths mingling, hearts sinking to the same wild beat. Under that vast sky, Elmwood felt 1,000,000 miles away. For the first time, I wasn't hiding. I was seen. But secrets don't stay buried in small towns. They fester, they spread. By Monday, the notes appeared, fags scrawled on my locker, a condom pinned to Jordan's backpack like a scarlet letter. We laughed it off at first. Ignorance tax, he'd say, crumpling the trash. But the hits kept coming. A shove in the hall that left Jordan's sketchbook splayed open, pages torn, tires slashed on my bike. And then, the whispers turned to shouts. It culminated that rainy October afternoon in the gym, after school. Jordan and I had lingered, shooting hoops in the empty space, the echo of the ball a private symphony. Tommy and his crew burst in, doors slamming like gunshots. Knew it, Tommy sneered, phone raised, capturing the moment. Us, too close, hands lingering. Smile for the yearbook, lovers. Jordan stepped forward, chin up. Delete it. Now. Tommy laughed. A ugly bark. Or what? You'll draw me a picture. The shove came fast. Tommy's palm to Jordan's chest, sending him stumbling into the bleachers. I lunged, tackling Tommy to the mat, fists flying in a blur of rage. It took 3 of them to pull me off, blood trickling from my split lip, Jordan's eye swelling purple. The principal's office was a blur. Suspensions threatened, parents called. Mom arrived, face ashen, clutching her purse like a shield. Alex, what in God's name? But Jordan's dad, distant, harried, didn't show. Instead, it was the school board, citing disruptive behavior, pushing for expulsion. For me, the golden boy, a slap on the wrist. For Jordan, the outsider, gone. That's when we fought back. Jordan's aunt, a civil rights lawyer from Cleveland, swooped in like a hawk. She filed the complaint. Discrimination, harassment, violation of Title IX. The hearing wasn't in a fancy courthouse. It was the County Justice Center, wood-paneled and smelling of stale coffee, but it felt like the end of the world. Students packed the gallery, teachers shifting uncomfortably, Tommy smirking from the back. Mom gripped my hand, her calluses rough against my palm. Jordan sat beside me, bruised but unbroken, his presence an anchor in the storm. The judge, Harlan Whitaker, was a relic, silver hair, wire rims, the kind of man who'd sentenced bootleggers in the 70s. As the testimonies rolled in, Tommy's lies about just joking, the principal's mealy-mouthed deflections, my stomach churned. Then it was my turn. I stood, knees jelly, the room blurring to faces and flashes. Your Honor, I started, voice cracking. This isn't about a fight. It's about fear. I've spent years hiding who I am, because in Elmwood, being gay means you're less. Jordan didn't make me brave. He just showed me I already was. The words poured out then, raw and unfiltered. The isolation, the longing, the kiss under stars that changed everything. I'm gay, I said again, louder, owning it. Gasps rippled, Mom's hand tightening. Jordan's eyes shone, proud and pained. Judge Whitaker leaned forward, removing his glasses. The room held its breath. Son, he said, voice gravelly but warm, hiding ain't living. And love? That's the most American thing there is. Messy, bold, worth fighting for. He turned to the board, eyes steel. This school's poisoned by prejudice. I'm ordering full reinstatement for Mr. Reyes, mandatory sensitivity training for staff and students, and a zero-tolerance policy enforced like the law it is. Dismissed. The gallery erupted. Cheers from some, stunned silence from others. Tommy's face drained white. As we filed out, reporters swarming, Jordan pulled me aside in the hall. You did it, Alex. We did. But victory tasted bittersweet. Rumors flew. Tommy's dad, on the school board, vowing revenge. And then the betrayal hit like a freight train. It was 2 weeks after the hearing, and Elmwood High buzzed like a hive kicked over. Hallways hummed with sideways glances, whispers trailing us like smoke. Jordan and I navigated it hand in hand some days, defiant, testing the waters. Other times separate, playing it safe when the stairs turned sour. The judge's ruling had forced change. Posters on inclusivity plastered the walls, assemblies droning about respect. But paper policies don't rewrite hearts overnight. Tommy slunk through shadows, his crew splintered but loyal, and I caught the glint of resentment in teachers' eyes, like we'd dragged their dirty laundry into the light. Mom took it hardest at first. Driving home that night, her knuckles white on the wheel, she'd grilled me gently. Gay? Since when? I'd spilled it all in the kitchen later, over lukewarm meatloaf, tears mixing with her hugs. Baby, I just want you happy, she'd said, fierce as a lioness. Whoever makes you smile, that's enough for me. Dad called from base, voice staticky over the line. Proud of you, kid. Standteil. It mended something fractured, but the town's fracture ran deeper. Jordan's place was a cramped apartment above the hardware store. his aunt footing the bill while his dad sorted things in Chicago. We escaped there most evenings, windows fogged from laughter, textbooks splayed amid half-eaten pizzas. One night, as snow flurried outside, he traced my collarbone with a fingertip, eyes soft. Remember the drive-in? Felt like the world's edge. I kissed him slow, savoring the taste of peppermint gum and promise. Feels like the beginning, I murmured. In those moments, love wasn't fireworks. It was hearth fire, steady against the cold. But cracks spiderwebbed. My best friend since diapers, Riley, started pulling away. We'd grown up tossing baseballs in the yard, sharing comics under the covers. Now his texts dwindled, busy with scouts. At lunch one day, he sat across the table, poking his fries. Heard about the hearing. Wild man. His eyes flicked to Jordan at the art table, then away. You, okay? The question hung, loaded. Better than okay, I said, forcing lightness. It's real, me and him. He nodded too quick, smile brittle. Cool. Just be careful. Tommy's pissed. That night, he didn't show for our Ritual Friday movie. Ghostbusters on VHS. Popcorn burned just right. I called. Voicemail. Hurt bloomed. Quiet but insistent. Betrayal's first whisper. School amped up for winter formal. Banners fluttering like surrender flags. Jordan sketched our suits in charcoal, me in navy. Him in emerald green. Dreaming aloud of slow dances under disco lights. No hiding, he said. We go as us. I wanted to believe it, but doubt gnawed. Tommy's taunts escalated. Harper's pet hissed in passing. A locker slam that echoed like a threat. Then came the photo, the one from the gym, grainy but damning, emailed anonymously to the whole junior class. Us, tangled in what looked like a fight but screamed intimacy. Laughter in the halls turned cruel. Girls averting eyes. Guys muttering slurs. I confronted Riley after English, cornering him by the vending machine. You see that pic? He flushed, jamming coins in for a Coke. Yeah, sucks. Who sent it? My voice rose, sharper than intended. His eyes darted. How should I know? Look, Alex, it's messing with everything. Scouts are watching. My folks. He trailed off, shoulders slumping. Just lay low, okay? Lay low. The word stung like salt in a cut. That night, Jordan found me on the creek bank, skipping stones into the frozen water. Riley? He guessed, settling beside me, our breaths clouding the air. Yeah. I hurled a rock, watching ripples fracture the ice. Feels like losing family. He pulled me against his side, chin on my shoulder. Family chooses you back. He will or he won't. But I'm here. We sat like that till numb, stars pricking the velvet sky, his heartbeat a lullaby against mine. The formal loomed, a battlefield dressed in tinsel. We went ties straight, hands linked at the door. The gym thrummed, Sweet Child of Mine blasting, punch bowls sweating. Eyes followed as we claimed a table, but cheers broke out too. Sarah from bio waving rainbow pins. Mr. Ellis, the drama teacher, clapping my back. Proud of you boys. For an hour, it was magic. Jordan's laugh in my ear, his hand warm at my waist during Wonderwall. Bodies swaying in the strobe-lit haze. Then Tommy struck, midway through November Rain. As we spun slow, a cup of something foul, punch spiked with God knows, splashed across Jordan's shirt, staining emerald to sludge. Tommy loomed, cup empty, grin feral. Oops, slippery fingers. Jordan tensed, fists clenching, but I stepped between. Walk away, Baxter. Or what? Gonna cry to your judge, daddy? He lunged, but security, new hires post-ruling, hauled him out, bellowing threats. The music stuttered, then resumed, but the spell shattered. We left early, Jordan silent in the truck cab, shirt balled in his lap. At his place, he stripped it off, revealing bruises from the old fight faded to yellow. I'm done hiding, he said, voice steel. But this town, it's breaking us. I cupped his face, thumbs tracing jaw. Not us, them. We made love to the story. Not bodies crashing, but souls merging. Whispers of futures in cities that breathed free, promises etched in skin. Afterward, tangled in sheets, he slept, but I lay awake, plotting. No more waiting for the world to catch up. We'd force it. Monday brought the bomb. Principal's office, again. Riley, head down, flanked by his parents. Alex, he started, voice small. I sent the photo. The air sucked out. Betrayal, full bloom. Thorns ripping deep. Why? It was a rasp, barely sound. Tears streaked his face. Tommy cornered me. Said he'd tank my recruiting if I didn't. I thought it'd blow over. Make you back off. He choked. I'm sorry. God, I'm so sorry. His mom, rigid in pearls, cut in. This is about protecting our boy's future. Not whatever this is. Riley flinched, but didn't contradict. I stood, numb. Future built on lies? Good luck with that. Door slammed behind me, echoing in my chest. Jordan waited in the hall, reading my face. Yeah. We walked out, snow crunching under boots, world white and unforgiving. He chose them. Jordan stopped, turning me to face him. Then we choose us. Always. His kiss was fierce, a vow against the storm. But the storm brewed fiercer. Tommy's dad sued, frivolous claim of defamation, against the school for the zero-tolerance policy. It dragged us back to court. This time federal, lights harsher, stakes sky-high. Reporters camped Elmwood's single diner, headlines screaming, small-town showdown. Gay teens versus tradition. Protests flared. Pickets with crosses outside the courthouse. Counter-rallies with pride flags waving defiant. Through it, Jordan and I clung, study dates turning strategy sessions, his aunt coaching us on testimony. Love deepened in the trenches. Notes and margins saying, "You're my north." Shared hoodies smelling of his cologne. But fear crept. Nights I woke sweating, dreaming of him gone, town swallowing us whole. The betrayal lingered, a ghost. Riley tried amends. Letters shoved in my locker, voicemails pleading. I burned them, ashes scattering on the wind. Forgiveness? Not yet. Maybe never. It hardened me, sharpened the edges of what Jordan and I had into something unbreakable. As the trial peaked, witnesses piling on. Tommy's lies crumbling under cross, survivors of past harassment stepping forward. I felt the tide shift. But the real climax waited, coiled like a spring. The federal courtroom in Toledo smelled of polished oak and desperation. A far cry from the County Justice Center's folksy grit. Snow piled against the windows, muffling the chants outside. Love wins. Clashing with God hates fags. A cacophony that seeped through the walls like damp. Jordan and I sat shoulder to shoulder on the wooden bench. His knee pressed to mine. A silent Morse code. I'm here. We're here. His aunt paced the aisle, files clutched like armor, whispering last-minute cues. Mom flanked my other side, her hand a steady weight on my arm, eyes fierce despite the shadows under them. This wasn't just about reinstatement anymore. Tommy's dad, Harlan Baxter Sr., real estate kingpin with a board seat and a grudge, had twisted the narrative. The school's overreach in punishing his boy for boys being boys, infringing on free speech, parental rights. It was a dog whistle to the town's old guard, the ones who'd nodded along to slurs like gospel. Our side? Proving systemic bias, a pattern of queer kids pushed out, silenced. Jordan's aunt had dug deep, emails from admins downplaying complaints, stats on dropout rates for LGBTQ plus students in Ohio's rural districts. It was war waged in legalese. The first day dragged, experts droning on policy, Tommy's dad thundering about traditional values. Jordan sketched idly courtroom caricatures, the judge as a stern eagle, his way of armoring against the bile. When the break came, he leaned in, breath warm on my ear. Think they'll let us hold court in the bathroom? My testimony's gonna need a pep talk. I squeezed his hand under the table, hidden from prying eyes. You'll kill it. Truth's your superpower. His grin flashed, quicksilver. Flatterer. Your turn tomorrow. Don't choke on the I'm gay part again. Tease laced with tenderness, pulling me from the edge. Night fell heavy in the motel, a fluorescent-lit limbo off the interstate. We shared a room, Mom insisting, birds of a feather. And after she crashed next door, Jordan and I curled on the lumpy bed, TV flickering infomercials. "Remember our first shakes?" he murmured, fingers tracing lazy circles on my back. Felt like stealing time. "Now we're borrowing it," I said, pulling him closer. The kiss started soft, a bomb, but deepened, hands exploring with the urgency of borrowed hours, bodies aligning like puzzle pieces long separated. It was reverence, not rush. Whispers of "I love you" against collarbones, laughter when knees bumped. In that dim room with the world's weight outside, we were infinite. Morning brought my testimony. The stand loomed, Bible optional but glaring under lights. Harlan Baxter Jr. the lawyer. Not Tommy's dad, but his shark. Crossed arms, smirk primed. "Mr. Harper, you claim harassment. Yet you initiated the altercation in the gym." I swallowed, eyes on Jordan, steady, believing. "No, sir. Tommy provoked it. After invading our privacy." The photo flashed on the projector, grainy betrayal. Gasps from the jury box. "And your relationship with Mr. Reyes? Did that influence your actions?" Heat rose, but I held. "Love doesn't make you violent. Fear does. Hiding who I am. That's what broke me first." The room stilled. Baxter pressed. Slurs twisted to jokes. My defense to aggression. But Judge Elena Vasquez, sharp-eyed Latina in her 40s, first openly queer on the bench in Ohio, interrupted. "Counselor, is this 1950? The boys admitting vulnerability, not villainy." I stepped down shaking, Jordan's hug a lifeline in the hallway. "Nailed it," he breathed. Mom pressed a thermos of coffee into my hands. "My brave boy." His turn came afternoon. Jordan ascended calm, notebook tucked under arm like a talisman. Direct was straightforward. Arrival in Elmwood. The drawing that sparked Tommy's ire. Our bond forged in quiet rebellions. Then cross. Baxter zeroing in. "Mr. Reyes from Chicago, a big city. Accustomed to certain lifestyles. Did you encourage Mr. Harper's tendencies?" Jordan's laugh was ice. "Tendencies? Sir, I'm gay. Alex is gay. We fell in love. If that's a crime here, indict us both." Murmurs swelled. The judge rapped her gavel. Baxter leaned in, voice oily. "And the fight? You stumbled, conveniently, into Mr. Baxter." "I stumbled because he shoved me over a photo he took to humiliate us." Jordan's eyes blazed. "Because in your world, two guys holding hands is a threat." "Objection," Baxter barked, but Vasquez overruled. "Let him speak." Jordan did, pouring out the isolation, the notes, the slashed tires. "Elmwood preaches family, but discards its own. I'm not asking for pity. I'm demanding justice." He locked eyes with the jury. Farmers, teachers, a nurse with kind creases. For every kid still hiding. The gallery erupted as he descended. Applause crashing like waves. Tommy, in the back with his dad, slouched low, face ashen. Outside, reporters mobbed. "How's it feel to bare your soul?" Jordan grinned, arm around me. Liberating. But elation soured fast. That evening, en route back to Elmwood, my phone buzzed. "Riley. Heard your testimonies. Blew me away. Can we talk?" Against Jordan's caution, I agreed. We met at the creek, ice cracking underfoot, his breath fogging in the dusk. "Alex, I was wrong. Scared shitless. Of losing everything." Tears froze on his cheeks. "But watching you up there, you didn't lose. You gained. I want in whatever this fight is." Doubt warred with longing. "You chose, Ree. Now I have." He nodded, broken. "Fair. But if you ever..." Doors open. He walked away, silhouette fading into twilight, leaving me hollow. Forgiveness flickered. But trust? Shattered mosaic, pieces sharp. The trial stretched days. Witnesses for the defense. Queer alumni who'd fled Elmwood. Psychologists on trauma's toll. Baxter Sr. took the stand, blustering about moral decay. But cracks showed. His own emails dismissing complaints. Then the photo's origin. Traced to Riley's IP. Anonymous no more. He testified, voice quavering. They threatened my future. But lying. That's no future. Redemption. Maybe. For the jury it sealed doubt. Closing arguments dawned gray. Jordan's aunt eviscerated. This isn't about one fight. It's about a system that silences love to preserve hate. Baxter countered with fearmongering. Protecting our children from agendas. Vasquez adjourned for deliberation. The weight of ice. We holed up at the apartment, pacing, baking cookies that burned. Jordan pulled me to the window, snow swirling. Whatever happens, we won already. Us against odds. I kissed his temple. Damn right. Deliberation dragged. 4 hours that stretched eternal. Then the call. Verdict at 7 p.m. Courtroom packed tighter. Air electric. Vasquez entered. Face impassive. In the matter of Reyes versus Elmwood School District. My hand crushed Jordan's. The words landed. We find in favor of plaintiffs. Full damages awarded. Policy reforms mandated statewide. Cheers exploded. Sobs from the back. Tommy's dad stormed out. Face thunder. Vasquez continued. This court affirms that love is not litigation. It's constitutional. We hugged, laughing through tears. Mom enveloping us both. Reporters surged, but we slipped out into the night. First real freedom. Elmwood awaited, transformed or not. But betrayal's shadow lingered. Riley's half-step back. Tommy's simmering rage. And in love's glow, new fears. Could we endure the aftershocks? Victory tasted like cheap diner pie, sweet, but with a tinny afterbite. Back in Elmwood, the school transformed overnight. Rainbow stickers on lockers, ally clubs sprouting like weeds. Assembly after assembly hammered the ruling. Mr. Ellis leading cheers for our heroes, Alex and Jordan. Strangers clapped me in the grocery aisle. Old-timers at the feed store nodded gruff approval. Even Tommy slunk through halls head down, suspended pending expulsion review. It should have felt like triumph, but cracks ran beneath. Whispers of appeals, church sermons decrying activist judges. Glances that lingered too long. Jordan thrived in it, channeling fire into murals for the gym. Fists breaking chains, colors bleeding hope. Art as armor, he'd say. Paint smudged on his cheek like war paint. Our dates turned public. Movies at the Bijou, hands laced without flinch. Bonfires with Sarah's crew, stories swapped till dawn. Love deepened, roots tangling. Lazy Sundays trading poetry. Whitman for him, E. Cummings for me. His head in my lap, fingers combing dark waves. You're my anchor, I'd whisper, and he'd reply, you're my sail. But the betrayal with Riley festered. A low hum. He tried, lunches offered, scout stories shared like olive branches. One afternoon, post-algebra, he caught me at my locker. Saw your testimony replay on the news. Gutted me. Eyes earnest, hands shoved deep in pockets. I get it if you hate me, but I miss my best friend. Hate? No. Pity, maybe, for the boy who'd traded integrity for a scholarship dream. Miss the oldest too, I admitted. But trust, that's earned now. We parted awkward. A hug that lingered half-second too short. Progress? Baby steps on glass. Then the counterpunch landed. Baxter Sr.'s appeal hit the wires, Federal Circuit, dragging us to Cincinnati. Harassment of my family, he claimed, spinning the verdict as bias. Jordan's aunt cursed over coffee. Smoke screen. But it'll drag months, maybe. The town split anew. Pride parades planned. Boycotts of Baxter Realty whispered. Mom fielded calls at the diner. Supporters tipping double. Haters stiffing bills. Hold the line, honey, she'd say. But worry etched her face like frost. Jordan cracked first, that stormy March evening. We'd planned a hike to the mill, but thunder rolled in, trapping us inside. He paced the apartment, thunder rumbling echo. What if we lose? Back to square one, hiding, fighting scraps. I pulled him down, rain lashing windows. We won't, and if we do, we run. Chicago, New York, anywhere that breathes. His laugh was bitter. Easy for you. Roots here, Mom, the team. Team that turned. I cupped his face. You're my team now. The kiss ignited desperate, devouring fears. We tumbled to the rug, clothes shed like old skins, bodies mapping familiar territories with renewed wonder. It was catharsis. Gasps sinking with lightning, touches grounding the chaos. Afterward, wrapped in a quilt, he traced my ribs. Promise me, whatever comes, we face it eyes open. Promise. The appeal hearing loomed, a specter. Prep consumed us. Mock crosses with his aunt, nights pouring depositions till eyes burned. Riley showed up unannounced one Saturday, duffel of old comics in hand. Peace offering, he said, sheepish. Remember how we'd argue X-Men lore for hours? We did, till midnight, pizza boxes piling, laughter easing knots. I was scared, he confessed, voice thick, of what it meant, for me too. Pause, heavy. Think I'm figuring some stuff out. The admission hung, bridge mending. Whenever you're ready, I said. Doors open. Not full forgiveness, but a crack. Light seeping through. Hearing day dawned muggy. Cincinnati's skyline a jagged promise. The circuit courtroom dwarfed us. Panels echoing footsteps. Vasquez's ruling stood. But new judge, Stern Brooks, conservative bent, frowned through openings. Baxter's lawyer hammered. Emotional testimony, not evidence. The Harpers and Reyes's seek fame, not justice. Jordan's aunt countered fierce. Stats on queer youth suicide. Elmwood's dismal record. This is protection, Your Honor. Delay it, and lives hang. Then rebuttals. Me, steady. Jordan, electric. We've built something real, he said. Don't let hate unbuild it. Deliberations stretched days. Agonizing limbo. Protests swelled outside. National eyes now. Glad reps shaking hands. Donors funding our side. Back home, Elmwood rallied. Fundraisers at the VFW. Team Alex and Jordan teased selling out. Mom wore one proudly. Flipping burgers at a booth. Tastes like victory, she'd quip. But doubt gnawed Jordan hollow. One night, post-bad dream, he woke gasping. What if they win? Send us packing? I held him heartbeat to heartbeat. Then we packed together. Dawn found us planning, college apps to Urbana-Champaign, dreams of shared dorms, futures unbound. The call came midweek. Oral arguments swayed. Appeal denied. Cheers ricocheted through the diner. Jordan hooped, lifting me off my feet. We did it again. Reporters swarmed, but the real shock waited. Back in Elmwood, assembly called mandatory, Judge Vasquez guesting via video. Gym packed, air thick. She appeared on the screen, smile warm. Kids of Elmwood, you've witnessed history. But it's yours now. Alex, Jordan, front and center. We stood, spotlights hot. Your courage, she said, shocked this nation. Not for the secret revealed, but the love that followed. Today I announce a foundation in your names. Scholarships for LGBTQ plus youth, nationwide. Funded by settlements from cases like yours. Gasps, then thunderous applause. Tommy, in the crowd, head bowed. Riley, beaming from the bleachers. But Vasquez wasn't done. And to the school, integrate this curriculum or face federal oversight. Love wins, make it policy. The gym erupted, hugs, tears, strangers embracing. Jordan turned to me, eyes shining. Our legacy. But elation crested to crash. That night, anonymous call to mom. Tell your fag son to watch his back. Threats, notes in lockers, slashed posters. Baxter's doing, whispers said. Fear coiled anew. Jordan pulled away. Subtle late nights studying. Sketches frantic. Just stressed, he'd say. But distance grew a chasm. Then the gut punch. I found the letter in his drawer, half written to his dad. Can't stay where I'm target practice. Leaving for Chicago solo. Love you, Alex, but I can't drag you down. Betrayal round 2, his self-inflicted. Heart fracturing. I confronted him at the creek. Letter clutched. Running? After everything. Tears streaked his face. Protecting you. This town's poison, threats escalating. I love you too much to risk. Love doesn't run. I shouted, voice breaking. It fights. Together. He crumpled, us collapsing to wet earth. I'm scared, Alex, of losing you for good. We clung through sobs, storm raging. Dawn brought resolve, no fleeing. But the fracture lingered, trust tested anew. Spring thawed Elmwood slow, mud sucking at tires, but our wounds healed slower. Jordan stayed, decision forged in that creekside vigil, our hands locked till numbness set in. Together, we vowed, a mantra against the whispers. Threats tapered under sheriff patrols, Baxter Sr.'s assets frozen in probes, but scars etched deep. His sketches turned shadowed, my sleeps fractured by what-ifs. Riley bridged fully that season, tentative coffees turning confessions. Always knew I was by, he admitted one dusk, baseball glove idol. Just buried it deeper than you. Laughter mingled with tears. Old rhythms revived, tempered by truth. Forgiveness bloomed, not erasure, but evolution. Brothers again, I said, and meant it. The foundation launched with fanfare. Gala in Cleveland, suits starched, Jordan's mural centerpiece. Donors toasted Harper-Reyes scholars. First awards to queer kids from flyover towns. Vasquez keynote. These boys didn't just win a case. They rewrote the rules. We danced. First public spotlights kind. His hand at my nape, world fading to our orbit. Proud, he whispered. Of us? Always. School year wound down, caps aimed skyward. Elmwood High felt. Home tentatively. Tommy transferred out, whispers of juvie for priors. Assemblies evolved. Peer talks, not lectures, Jordan sharing art, me on vulnerability's power. Kids approached shy. Thanks for making space. Sarah's ally group swelled. Even the jocks nodded respect. Summer hummed lazy, road trip to Chicago, Jordan's old haunts. L-tracks rattled, pizza deep dish, lake winds whipping hair. In a Wrigleyville cafe, he proposed, not ring, but promise. College together? Roommates? Revolutions? Deal. Nights in his dad's spare room. Awkward silences thawed to stories. Mended family riffs. His dad, grizzled mechanic, clapped my shoulder. Treat him right, kid. Progress inch by inch. Fall brought Urbana. Shared dorm, syllabi stacked, freedoms vast. Classes challenged, lit seminars dissecting identity, poli-sci on rights fragility, but Jordan's laugh in the quad grounded me. Dates, art walks, dorm pizza parties, hands free under cafe tables. Love matured, less fire, more ember. Arguments over laundry yielding to sorry-s, dreams whispered pre-sleep. Betrayals echoed faint. Riley's scout letter glowing, our calls weekly. Tommy's name a footnote in news clips. But new conflicts brewed. Campus politics, where allyship soured to appropriation. My internship doubts, Jordan's exhibit nerves. We'd navigate, stronger for scars. Winter break pulled us home. Elmwood dusted white, mom's tree twinkling. Diner shifts together, flipping burgers to Jingle Bell Rock. Her winks at stolen kisses. Grown so fast. She'd sigh, hugging tight. New Year's Eve, creek bank, now thawed, stars same. Jordan uncapped cider. To shocks that shape us. To secrets that set us free. We kissed, slow as seasons, future unfolding like pages. Not fairy tale, no dragon slain forever, prejudice's ghosts. But humanistic arc. Flawed town learning grace. Boys choosing love over fear. Shocking? Maybe. But real, as American as apple pie under pressure. Years later, testifying for national bills, I'd recall that gavel crack, the hook that reeled us in. Jordan beside, hand in mine, sketching futures. We'd shocked Elmwood, yes. But mostly we shocked ourselves into becoming.